Hi everybody, welcome to my beginner's quick start guide with some hints and tips to getting started in the amazing Division 2. So, starting off, what is the Division 2? Well, it's a third-person cover-based RPG looter-shooter set in a post-apocalyptic USA in the near future. The entire country has been devastated by a deliberately released hybrid of the smallpox virus. It's now several months after the initial mass deaths, and society has started to reform for good and for bad. Now, you're a member of the Division, an elite government secret military organisation that's only called upon in times of severe crisis. Hence, you've been active since the outbreak, since the time of the Division 1, but now you've responded to a distress call from Washington DC to help take back the city from the bad guys, to help the survivors, and generally kick some ass. And that's it. It's nice and simple when you get started anyway. So first up, let's have a look at the map, because this is kind of the heart of what you'll be doing in the Division. And right at the beginning, you know, you kind of you get into the White House, and this is your base of operations. So this is your main base where you'll return to apply skill points and probably do some crafting. You can practice on the shooting range when it becomes available, and it's kind of like a hub to come back to. If we zoom out a little bit, you'll see that the map is kind of divided into lighter areas, which I've kind of sort of opened up, and then we've got these darker areas. The way that the game progresses in the Division, the way that the story progresses, is that you do missions. You do things called main missions, and these are pushing the story along. So they tell you what's going on, and essentially, you know, you're clearing Washington DC of the bad guys. So you'll do like a main mission there, you'll do a main mission there, main mission there, and if you zoom out, you see my main missions are now all the way down here. And you'll also have side missions that open up as well, which again add to the story a little bit, and generally get you involved in what's happening in Washington DC. Now, the way that the game is gated, if you like, is through levelling, and this is the RPG element of the game. So you'll see, if we come out and we go into my character here, you'll see if you look in the left-hand side of all my inventory, you'll see it says Scalespeeder. It says level 13. So that's the level that I've reached. So if we go back into the map, what you'll see is that, for example, this area over here is a level 17 to level 21 area, level 15 to level 18. So what that means is the enemies in this area here, although I can go there, you know, I can just wander there, no problem at all, they'll be a lot tougher than I am in terms of the strength of their weapons and the strength of their armour and their gear. So it would be very, very difficult for me to progress in these areas. I could probably hold my own in levels 15 and 18 if I was careful, but level 17 to 21 and 21 to 25, I would just be killed virtually immediately if an enemy opened up on me. So that's how they can control your progression through the game. So you can't, you know, run through and do it all at once, do all the story missions if you like. And so you have to level up throughout the game, and you level up in lots of different ways, but essentially by completing the story missions and completing the side missions, you'll be gaining XP all the time by shooting people. and as you go through the map, you'll be gaining XP. There's all these little things that will go on as you're wandering around the map. You'll find hostage situations, or execution situations, or propaganda transmission situations that when you run into, if you sort of do it right and kill all the bad guys and help the good guys, you'll get XP and you'll level up that way. There's control points throughout the map as well, and the control points, they're almost like, well, there's side. I think of them as little side missions that you can do that involve going in, clearing out an area of bad guys, defending it from more bad guys, then it becomes yours. As you're wandering around the map as well, there's loot everywhere. There's little boxes to open and backpacks to open, and there's stuff in them. And you can then trade that stuff in at control points. You can give it to people, and then you get XP to level up. as you're doing lots of different things for the settlements. So the settlements are almost like mini areas of operations around the map. If you might remember from the Division 1, as you played through the game, your base of operations would more things would appear at it. When it would have a better hospital, it would have a better maintenance section. Well, as you're doing things around the map, that's what happens in the settlements as well as in your base of operations. And there's a number of settlements that you can do. So basically, just by playing the game, your character will level up. And by playing the game as well, is what happens is you'll find loot which involves weapons and gear around the map as well. So enemies will drop it when you kill them, or when you clear a control point. There'll be a room with weapons and gear in that you open it, and these weapons and the gear, so the armor and all that sort of stuff, has higher numbers. And if you equip that, you then become more powerful. And depending on where you are and what you're doing, you'll generally get loot and weapons applicable to the level that you are at as well. And so that's how you level up, and you get slowly more and more powerful. Now, this a lot of the time sounds a lot more complicated than it actually is. Basically, what you've got to do is you just play the game and follow the prompts that the game gives you. In fact, if you go into the options menu here, go into the main menu, you'll see this progression menu item here, and that tells you really what you should do next. If you click into here, it could say, okay, so your main missions are your priority, and obviously your side missions. And it says, well, you should do this one next. It's a level 12 mission, and we already know, that I'm a level 13, so I can do that no problem. So it says, so I should do Jefferson Plaza story mission next. So if we look in the map, we can then go and find the Jefferson's Plaza story mission, tag it, and then I could wander over there. So that's how you progress through the story in the early game. Now, eventually, when you complete everything, you'll move into the end game, where things change. And we also have the Dark Zone, and we have PvP, but we're going to cover those in other videos. So the next thing we'll do is let's take a look at my character while this chap is chatting away. So this is the other core of the Division 2. So this is my weapons and my gear, and again, this tends to look a lot more complicated than it actually is. And as you're wandering around, you'll be picking this stuff up. So let's have a look at my weapons first. You'll notice that you can have 3 weapons in the early game equipped. Normally they consist of a ranged weapon with a scope, a close-up weapon, and your pistol. Now, you probably won't get a scope straight away, so if you haven't got one yet, don't worry. But let's go in and let's have a look at the weapons I've got currently. So my distance weapon is a classic M1A1, and if you look over on the right, it starts to give us some stats about that weapon. It's a rifle. It does 3,000 damage, but it's got a very slow fire rate of only 180 RPM. So it means that it'll do people lots of damage if you hit them. And let's go to my second weapon that I've got equipped, which is the FAMAS, which is an assault rifle, fully automatic. Does less damage than the M1A1, but it fires much faster, 900 RPM. And then if you scroll down, you can see different talents, they call it, that the gun might have. And this is, again, more RPG elements. Again, you don't really have to worry about it too much at this stage. But let's look at some of the other guns I've got. So if you see down here, see all these guns, they've all got different levels. Level 13, level 12, all that sort of stuff. Then if you look at the damage that they do, there'll be like an up or a down. Now, remember, though, that damage is always related to the RPM. So a gun that does lower damage but has a higher RPM will do more damage per second because it's firing more bullets into someone. But if, for example, you want a ranged weapon where you want to be able to kill people with headshots, you want to do loads of damage at the same time. You'll also notice different colours. We've got, like, what we've got going on here. We've got blues, we've got yellows, we've got purples, and you can't see them here, but you get greens. And this relates to whether it's a standard, a superior, or a specialised weapon. Again, what that relates to is generally relates to is the talents that gun will have, the specialist things. So, for example, this one, the FAMAS, it's got plus 15% on weapon handling, so it'll handle better. So I guess that means it doesn't sway as much. And it says, and the talent it has is optimized, so weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% of the ammo missing from the magazine. Very RPG-like, but honestly, you don't really have to worry about that. Oh, and you only get that if you've got an offensive value of more than 5. But again, don't worry about that. You see on the left hand side where it says Scalespeeder level 13, see those numbers underneath, 4, 2, 1. They relate to my skills, my defense, and my offense. But again, you don't have to worry about that at the beginning of the game. All you've got to worry about is if you see a gun that's got a higher number, equip it and have a play with it. And always try and keep don't pick up 2 submachine guns or 2 shotguns. Have like an assault rifle and a sniper rifle, or have a submachine gun and assault rifle, so you've got options at different ranges. So they're the guns, and then you've got the gear, and your gear is separate. You've got gas masks, you've got armor, you've got knee pads, you've got holsters, you've got knee pads, you've got gloves, and you've got backpacks. And these all, this is the RPG stuff, these all relate to the strength of your character. So let's have a look at my gas masks. So as you can see, you've got level 13, level 12, level 11, level 10s. And basically, as the number goes up, you equip it. So if we look at that top one, it says it's got an armor level of 734, and all the others, the armor level goes down, so it goes down to 669, etc. So in the early game, just pick stuff up that's got a bigger number. If the number's bigger, equip it. Again, we've got specialists, we've got standard, different types of kit that has different attributes. But again, you don't need to, honestly, you don't need to worry about it at all. If the number goes up, so for example here, if we look at my knee pad, there's a little exclamation mark, so we can see that I picked up some level 13 knee pads. Actually my armour would go up to 1161, so I'm going to equip those. Now you may well say, well Rob, why have you got all these spare ones? For example, why have you got all these spare guns, and why have you got, that's a better example, why have you got these spare face masks? The reason for that is that you should always keep, I think, at least 3 spare of each item, because some of the things you have to do to help out the headquarters, and you have to help out specifically the what do they call them? Let's go into it. The settlements. You have to do tasks for them that will involve donating gear to them. And a task may well be to clear an area of, clear all the the control points in an area, and give us 3 lots of knee pads. So you can quickly donate those, and then that will lead to getting you something called a blueprint. I won't go into blueprints now, because they're another thing. But so always keep some spare ones. Now, your inventory only has so much capacity. So at some point, you're going to have to start getting rid of stuff, and there's a couple of ways of getting rid of it. As I said, you can donate it, or if you look down in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see there's an option to junk stuff as well. And when you junk stuff, you get some bits from it, and once you've got those bits, if you then make stuff with blueprints, that then helps you make that. You'll also find various vendors around that you can sell stuff to as well, to get some money to buy some other stuff. Or you can always go over to your stash, and you can put stuff into your stash to store it, for later on. I tend to try and keep my inventory very clean, in the fact that I just get rid of stuff, or delete it, or sell it pretty quickly. Okay. So we covered weapons and we've covered gear. Caches are interesting actually. Every time you level up, you'll get a cache. It's like a mini loot box, so you open that up. Mods, you'll start to come across them in the game. What happens is, say something like this backpack, you can add a modification to this backpack. And what a mod does is it gives you some extra abilities. So for example, this mod that I've stuck in this backpack gives me 6% better health regen and 3% increased bleed duration. So That's basically what it does. Again, don't worry about them too much. As you start to come across them, you'll start to think, oh right, okay, what does this do? And you can go over and you can read the tutorials about stuff, or obviously you can go on YouTube and learn it. There we go. Projects are cool. So when you go into a settlement, or in your base of operations, or even safe houses, you'll see these projects, and when you complete the projects, so they're just a to-do list, and generally you'll do what's on the to-do list automatically as you play through the game. And then the only extra thing you normally have to do is donate some resources or donate some gear. Doesn't my lady, she stands really strangely, doesn't she? Very strange, very strange. Okay, so now the other thing we've got down here is we've got some skills, which is a bit odd because they're actually like gadgets, aren't they? You see I've got my little tripod gun, and I've got my little chemical launcher. So let's go and have a chat to this guy, who's the quartermaster, and we can kind of... Hello. So as you're playing through the game, you'll unlock skill points, and you can use the skill points to unlock these babies, which they call skills, but they're gadgets really. And so the first one you probably want to unlock is the turret. You might remember this from the Division 1, which is, you know, you throw this little fella down and it'll start firing at enemies automatically. And I always say go for the assault turret. It's nice and easy. And you know, it's a good friend. It distracts enemies as well. It's a very, very useful tool. And if in the future you want to unlock the variants, we do that with Shade Tech, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Then the next one I think you should probably unlock is the chemical launcher. I think this is new to the Division 2. I don't think this was in the Division 1. And again, unlock the reinforcer. And especially if you play a lot of solo, the way that you use this one isn't the way that you're seeing it in the little video there. When you want to use this one, you just double tap on the right shoulder button and it'll fire it at your feet and it'll heal you. Because the way that health works in the Division is it's based around armour. So as you're taking damage, your armour goes down and then your health goes down, and you have to apply an armour kit. And you can only carry so many of those. You can use more, and I'll show you how to carry more in a bit. But having the chemical launcher, it gives you basically unlimited armor kits. And you'll probably find once you unlock the chemical launcher and start using it, you don't use that many armor kits anymore, because you're just double tapping on this thing while you're behind cover and your armor's coming back. And very, very, very useful indeed. And as you go along, you can unlock the other ones to have a play with them and see how it goes. But they're very, very useful tools. Now, these are all on cooldowns, so you use your turret, then you've got to wait like a minute or so to be able to use it again, so use it at opportune times.
Goodbye.
Ooh. Now, the other thing are perks. Now, these are very important. The perks are unlocked with Shade Tech. So if we go to... Let's go to the map again. So as you're wandering around Washington DC, you'll see these little icons here. They're all over the place, and sometimes you get them by doing side missions. Like if I do that side mission, I'll get that Shade Tech point. And when you've got those, you can unlock perks. And perks are things like increased inventory capacity. Makes sense, doesn't it? Better detection, being able to carry more armor kits, being able to carry more grenades. But, and this is the thing that's pretty different in the Division 2, is attachments for your guns are called perks. I know it doesn't seem to make sense. So in that, you might remember in the Division 1 you had to pick up things like extended magazines and scopes and silencers and grips. You don't have to do that in the same way in the Division 2. Basically, when you unlock these perks, for example, in this case, a magazine, that magazine is then unlocked all throughout the game for all the guns that magazine will fit. You don't have to find another one. So that's really, really important. So you go through and pick them up. I've unlocked things. You pick up shade points pretty quick. So I've unlocked things like the grips, the magazines, increasing my capacity to carry things. And again, some of these perks are level locked, so you've got to get to a certain level before you can actually unlock them. So as you can see, so I've unlocked these things. So if we now go back to the guns, so let's go back to my assault rifle. What we can now look at is if we press square on PlayStation, or that would be X on the Xbox, here's my gun, you can see we have these opportunities to apply modifications, and they give you different abilities. So if let's go back to the optic rail. So by applying the red dot, that gives me 10% accuracy, and then you'll unlock grips, and you'll unlock muzzles, you'll unlock magazine attachments. So that's how you mod the guns in the Division 2. Right, I just want to go back to the map as well and show you something else. So as you can see, there's all this stuff on the map, and when you want to go to a particular place, just select it, and the GPS will tell you how to get there. Right, but you want to zoom in as well sometimes. For example, when you try to find your way around the White House, it can be a little bit confusing. But if you zoom all the way in, you can select the different things. So if I wanted to find, for example, there we go, the projects lady, I can select that, and now within the White House, it shows me with that orange line where I need to go, and I can have a chat with the project lady, and she can show me what we need to do. So for example, let's have a look at one of these projects. So for this one, I've had to resupply a friendly control point, which I've done, complete activities in the East Mall, which I've done, and I need to recover Shade Tech caches in the East Mall, and I've done 3 or 4 of those. And when I've done that, I'll then get a bounty, Jefferson's Legacy, which is probably to go down and hunt down a big guy who'll then drop some cool kit. And then the other thing to look out for as well is, which you have to zoom in for, you'll see all these little dots around the map. So an echo, that's a reconstruction of something that happened. Entrances to the underground, where you can go down and work your way through, well, the underground, so you can move across the map safely. Food, so food's important because you could pick up resources and you drop them off at control points or give them to people, and that will give you XP. So there we go. So that's kind of the 2 core things about the Division. We've talked about the map, and the story, and how you progress and how you level up, and we've talked about your gear. So what we'll do now is we're going to go outside and we're going to practice some movement, just to give you an idea of that, because that's incredibly important to surviving in the Division and really enjoying the game. Okay, so I fast travelled across the map because I want to get us closer to a control point that we're going to take. But I just wanted to highlight something else. Sometimes when you're wandering around the Division, sometimes at the end of missions as well, and you'll be like, how on earth do I get out from where I am? What do I do? How do I get a bit stuck? And the trick is always to go into the map and choose somewhere, and then you'll get the GPS up, and you'll see you'll get the little orange lines. I want to do a control point now. And the little orange line appears, and then we can run a line. Now, as you're moving around in the Division, always be looking around for loot, because there's loot everywhere. So we picked up some steel and some titanium. We could be using that to make things with blueprints, or we might want to donate that to people. And honestly, it is everywhere. So, you know, just be constantly looking around, climbing up, jumping off, and you'll find bags and stuff all over the place. It's really very, very cool. In the Division 1, almost everything would appear in your mini-map in the top left-hand corner. Ooh, okay. Oh, they're friendlies. Cool. But that's not the case in the Division 2, unless you've given a load of supplies to a control point, and then things do appear more often. In fact, let me show you a quick trick as well. If we go into the options in settings, if you go into the UI, you can customize the HUD, and if you press square on PlayStation, or X, I guess, on Xbox, you can adjust, you can go into the different aspects, and you can adjust the size of the minimap, and I would say make it a little bit bigger, and that makes things very, very useful indeed. So let's talk about movement, the core of gameplay in the Division, and it's absolutely amazing. So as you're running up to something, it's X on PlayStation, or be A on Xbox. You see, you go behind cover, and your character is then locked to cover. Whenever you're in a gunfight, you should really be in cover, because you'll take less damage. Although you might think, if you're somewhere like here, you might think, well, I am behind cover, aren't I? I am behind cover. You'll still take more damage than if you were tucked down like this. And when you're stuck to cover, you can go left and right, and your character will carry on of that cover. Now, to get out of cover, just pull back from it, or press X or A on the Xbox, X on PlayStation, A, just to get out of that cover. Or if you press circle on PlayStation, or B, I think it is on Xbox, you'll hop over the top. So that means, say you were somewhere like this, and there were some enemies in that direction. You know, you can move left and right. These more right, these are friendlies. Without worry about coming up, we could move around. When you want to fire, if you sort of aim down sights, you'll look around the corner. If you just press the fire button, you'll blind fire over the top. So if you're in really desperate situations. Now the next thing is moving from cover to cover. Now you'll see all these little, see how that little X has appeared, or it would be A on Xbox has appeared. If you just press and hold that, your character goes from cover to cover.
Agent requesting backup.
So you just look where the cover is, and your character will run from cover to cover. Now it's important to do it this way because your character will run faster like this from cover to cover and take less damage.
Supplies nearby.
So whenever you're under fire, if you can keep sort of being stuck to cover and moving to cover all the time, you'll take a lot less damage and you'll be a lot more effective. Now the catch is that obviously with cover-based shooters, you tend to always be looking that way. And in the Division 2, enemies are very good at flanking you, so do remember to keep looking round and making sure that nobody's coming behind you, like so. And just practice. I love the way the characters move in this game. Looks brilliant. So what we're going to do now is, as you can see, there's an enemy control point here that we need to take. So we're going to go over here and we're going to take it, and I'm kind of going to talk you through what I'm kind of thinking about as we're going on. So I've got my assault rifle, I've got my my other rifle, which is my distance weapon. You'll notice that you aim down sights automatically. In fact, there's nothing you do. If you've got that sort of sight on your gun, a magnified sight above 4 times you look down the sight of as well, it automatically looks down the sight. You can't not, there's no soft aim option. But again, as I'm going along, I'm just looking for loot, picking up everything. You know, get off the beaten path. I mean, this game looks amazing. Look how beautiful it looks. You know, so it's misty. There's dynamic weather. Right, let's have a quick look at the map. So we're going.
Supplies detected.
So you'll find it as you go from place to place. Right, here we go. So now we've got some enemies. So let's get behind cover. Let's lob a grenade. So I can drop my health thing if I wanted to. Double tap. Boink. Now, you'll notice that I'm quite overpowered for this level, and this is a good argument for always doing, say, all the side missions and control points in a particular area before you move on as a beginner, because you'll find you will get overpowered. You'll become more powerful than you need to, which I think makes the game quite enjoyable. It means you don't die very often. Right, so we're getting closer now, 100 meters away. But look, see, there's loot everywhere. A ski mask. Should we equip it and see what we look like?
Supplies nearby.
Oh, right, I thought it would be a pulley down one. No, we don't like that. No, let's go back to my regular hat. Music is amazing as well. So if we went down there, we could traverse the map without worrying about bumping into enemies. There's more loot down there as well. There's loot everywhere. Right, here we go.
Hostiles guarding location nearby.
So this is a crash site. So this is where we now have to be a little bit careful, because there'll be lots of baddies here. You see that red line? That tells us where everything's going to be. So let's approach it and let's have a look what's going on. So it's quite a big site, this. Height is always a good advantage to have. So yeah, so this is where the Vice President crashed, actually. So what you can do at this point, you can call in nearby allies. So friendly non-player characters will come and give you a hand. However, this will also call in more bad guys as well. So you've got to make that call. At some point you've got to call them in. I tend to like to clear the initial area of bad guys first, and then call in my buddies afterwards, once I've kind of got to the middle of the control point. So what I'm going to do, in fact I'm probably going to move a bit closer. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my my tripod gun, so it's fairly near to these guys, and then I'm going to throw a grenade at them, and then all hell's going to break loose. And then we're going to chuck a grenade over there. Here we go. And then we're going to... Now that purple guy, he's the dangerous one. Oh, grenade's coming in, so you need to watch where that's going. Oh, he's managed to kill himself. Right, let's sort this guy out. Right, so here comes a bad guy. See how they're all being distracted by the tripod gun? Here comes the bad bag. Right, he's destroyed my tripod gun. Let's give him a grenade. Oh, is he over there? Alright, it's just a normal... Right, there's the leader. Where's he going? He's throwing a grenade, so let's move. There we go. So let's go and pick up the stuff we've got. Let's reload. Something's going on over there. So see this gun here, this MP7, it's level 11, so it's less than what I need. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to deconstruct it straight away, because I've got plenty of weapons. What's going on over there? This is the beauty of the Division. You find there's stuff going on all over the place, people getting into fights. So what we're going to do is probably going to come up here, so I've got the height advantage. We're just going to call in our nearby allies, and then we're going to see where the enemies come from.
Reinforcements incoming.
Where these guys are. Let's get rid of these guys.
Incoming hostiles detected.
Grenades are very dangerous.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Here he comes. What's this guy doing? Okay, so we've got rid of him.
Reinforcements in
Oh,
place.
one thing I show you as well is there's lots of things that will explode around the map that you can use to damage enemies. How cool is this? Inside Air Force One. Right, let's get out there, and I think there's only a couple of them left, so we'll be able to finish them off.
Shit, over here! Come on! Let's go! Kill that asshole!
There we go. Well, thanks friendlies for turning up. So now what's opened up is the supply room. So we can go over here. Oh, look, there'll be some cool stuff in here. So what we got? So an SASG shotgun. Again, I'm going to take it all, and a rifle. Very nice, level 13. So I'm going to take it all. I mean, always take it all, because then you can either scrap it or sell it or donate it. What we got in here? Some gloves. They're not quite as powerful as my existing ones, but again, you take it all. Ceramics, electronics. Some more resources. What we got over here? A double barrel sawn-off. Let's take all that. And then the next thing you can do, if you go and find the leader of the control point, he's going to be somewhere. Where is he? Where's he gone? Come here, fella. Right, he's a control point officer. If you talk to this guy, so he's saying he needs food, water, and equipment. So let's talk to him. So, donating enough resources to the control points activates better detection of loot containers in a 20-meter radius. And it gives you XP. So, this food and water and components that I've been picking up over the last, hours running around, I can donate all this stuff. And that gets turned into XP to level up my character. I haven't given them enough food, so that hasn't worked, but I could go and get some. And then the really cool thing about control points is they're almost like a loot farm. So these green ones are the ones I've captured, so I can fast travel to these control points every day and go into the supply rooms and just pick up more gear, which I can then dismantle, or it might be better than the stuff I've got. So, there we go. I think we've covered an awful lot in this beginner's quick start guide. As I said, watch what the game asks you to do. It gives you lots of prompts about what you should be doing next and things you should be looking at and following. And just watch those and respond to those. And if you want a bit of fun as well, when you hear the game say, "Oh, an agent needs help," if you press and hold the big touchpad in the middle of the PlayStation, I don't know what it is on Xbox, you'll have to look it up. That will take you into a slightly different version of this map where it will show you agents that want help, and then you press up on the D-pad and you'll go into a quick matchmake with somebody else, and you'll be helping them to complete a level or stay alive or something like that. That's loads of fun. But otherwise, as I say, follow the story missions, do the side missions, pick up all the shade tech, all these things, so you can have more perks, and then you can get your skill points so that you can unlock more gadgets, and just play in a particular area. Just try and clear it out of all of the missions, all of the side missions, pick up the shade tech, and then you'll find you'll be over leveled when you're ready to go to the next mission, which means that you'll have a lot more fun, because the Division 2 isn't much fun when you go into a level and you're underpowered and you keep dying all the time. So there we go. Hopefully this has been useful. The best thing I'd suggest is, if you come up with more questions about things to do or things you want to know about how to do, just put them in the questions and comments down below. And if you found the video useful, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.